Hello and welcome to the Gauntlet Hangouts. My name is Lowell. This is the first session of Pasión de las Pasiones, which is a Latino telenovela powered by the apocalypse. It is an RPG, currently in ashcan form from Magpie Publishing. There have been some iterations since it came out. I know that this is a future big product from Magpie. We'll see when it's going to come out. But we are essentially playing telenovelas. This is a game of melodramas that we're going to be going through tonight. This is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. This is an online gaming community that includes lots of other things, blogs, podcasts, all of that stuff. You can find out about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. So let me talk about, let me do our cats. Talk about what this game is going to look like. First of all, this is the concept. This is about melodramatic characters that are entangled in passions, but we also kind of have the artifice. We know that it's a TV show, so we can lean into descriptors drawn from television. We can kind of do that. It's not like primetime adventures where it's literally a TV show, but we know that some of the tone and the tropes and things fall from that. And our aim is to build these conflicting stories and to play out and see where the passions take us. The tone is passionate, it's forceful, it's melodrama, it's heightened reality, but importantly within that, not parody. These stories take themselves seriously. They have a sincerity to them. So we don't want to engage in parody. We want to take them at their word on that. Our subject matter: loves, betrayals, intrigue, assignations, bombs. We had lots of bombs in my last one. Turncoats. A lot of GM moves involve turning alliances and betrayals and all of that. So those are all the kinds of things that we're going to be doing. Now, you may have noticed I am super white, but I have a love for this genre. I have a love for melodramas, and I really love Brandon's rules. I think it's super fun. It's a delight to play. So we're going to try and be respectful of the material. I've played with all of you before. You know this. No accents. You can do voices, but not accents. All of that stuff. We want to be careful about that. Within that, our safety tool is my default save tool. Default save tool of the Gauntlet, which is the X card, which we can do either through chat, visible markers, all of that kind of thing. X card can be used for if we hit material you find objectionable, material you find problematic, terms you find problematic, all of those things. It can be also used if you're hitting something that triggers a phobia. I've had that before at the table a couple of times. And it can also be used for tone. If something's gone, what you feel is wildly off tone, then you can say an X card that. And we'll move past that. I may ask you for a frame to get a sense of where we're cutting, but we'll move past it. Something that Rich Rogers mentions to me, and I'll repeat it here just in this first session, is if you don't X card something once, like it passes you by and you're like, I'm okay with it, but it pops up later and later on you're not okay with it, it is legit to X card it later. Even if you skipped it the first time, don't feel like, well, I should have said something earlier. Nope. If it's bugging you, you X card it. And we'll move past that. And of course, this is open table. If you need to step away, I think it's a little more light than other games might be, but just to keep that there on the table. With that in mind, I would like to see if we've got some lines and veils. We know that this is a television program. We know kind of some boundaries there, but it can get overwrought. Some of these shows, there are a lot of different kinds, a lot of different tropes, and a lot of different approaches to this in different countries, especially across Central and Latin America. The telenovelas come in very different forms and very different genres within them. And I've seen some that they don't look alike. They're covering the same style, but not the same kind of material. But what I want to do is ask if anybody has particular lines, things you definitely don't want to see. or veils, things we want to pull the veil over. For this, I'm going to start with one that we sometimes see in television shows. Torture is off the table. It doesn't work. It's not a thing that we've had. We're not going to show that. We're not going to accept that as a thing that is a factor for our shows here. But that's the one I wanted to put out there. Daryl, anything that you can think of that you would like to put a line or a veil on?
My standard 3 are no sexual violence, no cruelty to animals, and no cruelty to children.
Okay. Barry, anything besides that?
I think I'd like to avoid any, I'm okay with exploring like pregnancies and like children and whatnot, but imperiled pregnancy is something that I'd like to keep off the table.
Absolutely. That is fair, since it's a trope that sometimes comes up. And Louise, any thing that you want to line or veil?
I think I'm covered. With,
okay. All right. And Peter?
Mine were pretty well covered.
I do want to say something else too. One of the things is this is our telenovela, so regressive ideas about gender or sexuality or anything like that. This is our telenovela. We do whatever we want with it, so we're going to be progressive with it. Just to mention that, to keep that in mind. Let me see. I don't know if I can do that with the control box anymore. Louise, can you turn your gain up a little, maybe?
Turn what up? I'm sorry.
Your mic volume. You're just a little quiet.
I can try.
Oh no, that's okay. If you, let me see if I can. Okay. Removed all my toolboxes to do that. I think we should be fine. If we have any issues, we'll ask to have you say that again.
All right.
So I want to talk briefly about the mechanics, and then I want to have us talk about kind of what setting we want for the game. So this is a PbtA game. Basically, it's 2d6, but rather than having any stats, you may notice your characters lack stats. Whenever you go to roll on the basic moves, you will see that each move has questions. Like to accuse someone of lying, the questions are, do you have an audience? And do you have evidence? For each yes that you answer, you get a +1 to that. So you start at a 0, and then you can have more +1s. Some people's moves will grant additional pluses for certain things. But generally, each of these moves has 2 questions that are connected to that. Now, you'll also notice that each of your characters has 4 conditions. In some places, haven't changed out the word stress track, but below stress track, you'll see 4 conditions that you can check there. When that's essentially your hit point track, your spending conditions to do some abilities. When your condition track is full and you need to mark another condition, then you have a meltdown. And there's little explanations for meltdowns at the very bottom of each column. With each condition, there is 1 move that you get a +1 towards, and 1 move that you get a -2 towards. So you'll need to kind of track that. Normally, when you have to mark a condition, you'll get to pick what you want to mark. That will be up to you as to what you think is going to be appropriate for that. A lot of the moves are pretty clear. You'll notice we don't have any general information gathering moves. There's spot something out of place, but that is very much I'm going to read someone. So when we come to the kind of looking or studying or trying to examine things, we'll do that in negotiation. You know, what you think is right, what you think is appropriate for what we find. I'll throw some info out rather than us going to a move on that. On the other moves tab, you'll notice that we have flashback to preparations and reveal a shocking truth. These are two kind of retcon moves. Essentially, you get to go back and change what happened. So the flashback to preparations, you change something, and it may require you to mark a condition to get that. The reveal a shocking truth allows you to declare a fact about something in the fiction there. So those are a little unusual, a little bit different from the basic moves. I'm going to swap back to the playbooks move tab, or rather to the basic moves tab. The other move that is unusual in this game is the very last one on the basic moves tab, is process your feelings out loud. And that's essentially when you go and stand by the window and it's raining and you're listening to your own heart, and maybe we're seeing that montage and you're looking off in the distance. You talk to yourself about how you're feeling. You then ask each member of the audience, which is the other players, if they're rooting for you. If they do, they can give you a +1, and then you roll, and then the audience reveals things to you. I kind of dig this move. I think it's hilarious, and I've seen it used with great effect. To change things up. On a 10+, you immediately get to set a scene to act on that information. Which brings us to the last idea, which is the idea about our audience. This is at the very bottom of the basic moves tab, because I didn't know where exactly to put it otherwise. This is slightly different from the earlier version of Pasiones. Basically what it is anyone who's not in a scene is considered the audience. And if when you're watching the scene, you see something happen that fits one of these roles, then you can say to that player, oh, I think La Madre saw you do this thing that was horrible and cruel, and gasps in horror. And when you do that, when you gift that to somebody, when you point that out to someone, and anybody can do that, that player marks XP, and then on their character sheet, you'll see on all these columns, you'll see we've got an audience reaction drop down. If we were at a table, you would actually take the card, like the La Madre's card, and you would hand it to them and say, you've got this now. And what those drop downs do is, while you have that, like we have the La Madre card, then you can spend that later to take definite hold of something. And each one of those 5 things is a special ability you can then spend and put it back in the middle. So you can only have one of them at a time. And if you get another one, you have to choose which one you're gonna keep. And it is the way that you get XP in the game. So just keep that in mind. Are there any questions about those mechanics before I roll on? Because I know I went through it fast.
I'm just gonna have a hard time not triggering a bunch of them all the time.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Yeah, the audience reactions are super fun. They are super fun. So with that in mind, I want to see if anyone has an idea about where we want to set this this setting here. I've seen it done in a perfume company. I've seen it done on a big estate. I've heard people doing it on a big ranch or a hotel or that kind of thing. We need a big place where lots of characters can cross, and there's some kind of power dynamics involved. Anyone, and I hate to kind of throw this open, does anyone have, I'd heard about the cruise ship that you did, Louise. Anyone have a suggestion for something that you'd like to have for this setting? Anything that appeals to you? Peter, I hit you last on this last round. Anything that right off the top of your head when I say this, thoughts. We can brainstorm here.
Oh gosh. Okay. I was like, I have a lot of time to think. I'm last in the. Oh gosh. I'm drawing a blank.
Absolutely fair. Absolutely fair. Louise, any thoughts off the top of your head?
This might be too meta, but what if it's like a TV show about wrestling? Because we're playing with you after all.
Oh, you mean like this is a family that runs a wrestling promotion?
Yeah, like some kind of lucha libre deal, but something more highbrow, I think, so we can accommodate the La Doña and El Jefe.
Like maybe they run an entertainment conglomerate that the equivalent of the WWE, a big fancy version of that. They have high end lucha libre and lots of other entertainment stuff, and a battle for who has control of the company. Daryl, thoughts on that?
Well, I just have to share in the chat, Barry called it the McMahons of telenovelas. And I think that is perfect and amazing. If I have to bring something to the table, I really love like an inheritance murder mystery setup. So if it's like the family reunion at the country estate and then somebody like the patriarch gets offed, I would be very there for that. So
certainly if McMahon dies right away in scene 1, we can come from there. All right, Barry, any thoughts? Anything you want to add on to that?
I'm chasing this wrestling idea, and I'm loving it. I want to find something else that I can kind of toss out though. I am going to need another 30 seconds because that was fantastic.
Well, I think we can play with that. I think we've got enough to go with there, because now our characters, what you decide on your character types, are going to shape, what this is actually going to be. So, Daryl, you arrived first, and you had said that you had a couple that you were leaning towards. Between those, have you decided on what character you really want to play?
Yeah, so I am feeling very drawn to La Doña for this particular game. I would really like to play that kind of matriarchal character. So that's where I'm throwing my hat.
Okay. Barry, have you thought about what you would like to play?
I had, and if I had any sense, I would have said in the email, La Doña sounds really cool, but I can move off of that. I think El Caballero might be fun to do.
Okay.
But I'm not super committed to it.
Okay, so let's put so La Doña, tentative Caballero, Peter.
La Empleada.
Okay, doing the employee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because innocence is my forte.
Yes. Louise, did that give you enough room to choose someone to work with here?
Oh yeah, I was gonna go with my Pleiada, but if I can't be innocent, I want to be evil. So I'm gonna go with either La Belleza or El Gemelo.
Okay. So which will it be? I think everybody else has their thing. Which do you feel more leaning towards?
I'm gonna be extra and say La Belleza.
Okay.
I'm gonna be like a very pretty wrestler.
That makes sense. All right. So I am going to then nicely hide columns on these other ones. Those columns. So what you'll need to do is take a look at those. There's not that much to choose. I didn't put the look materials in the spreadsheet. So if you want references for the look, you'll need to go to the PDF. But you can go through, figure out names, look, what moves you want. And once we've got that, then we'll do introductions and figure out our web of relationships. Gerald, I did make a small change. I had forgotten that Ladona's personal question that is asked for every move is slightly different in this. It is, are you keeping your hands clean? Is the question you ask.
That's like so much better, actually.
Yeah, I like it more.
And totally falls in line with how I was going to play her anyway.
Good.
Quick question. So
Yeah.
I added my move choice onto the move set, but for some reason I only see the top bit of it.
Oh, well, we can easily, I can drag that down a little bit. Oop. Let me see if I can.
Oh,
There we go. Sorry, these moves have very different sizing, so I apologize.
No, you're
Yes,
fine.
yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that I could. I wasn't just gonna be like roll with
Blank.
scroll. Also, when I was picking, I didn't like immediately read all of the moves, and I got to the first one, and I just went, "Oh boy."
Yeah, that's a great that's a great move.
Yeah, and I just went, "Oh well, okay."
I can do this too. All right, so we know we've got a company that is the big sort of fancy professional lucha libre company here, which I imagine then means that they probably have stadiums in different cities, athletic centers for that, probably training halls for that kind of thing, probably a big office complex somewhere, probably a family estate. They probably got a traveling circuit of people. I assume they've got a TV, cable deals, that kind of thing. Probably handle some other sports events, promotional things. Probably have good tie, toys, and other goods and things. If we think of that as a big wrestling conglomerate in the vein of lucha. The two big companies in Mexico are AAA and CMLL. We're not even going to use those names. This is the company. We'll figure out what name for it later on. And we've got a patriarch who, at the start, we'll see what's happened to them. And of course, it'll be whatever happens, it'll be under mysterious circumstances. So Daryl, can I have you start and introduce your character to us?
Sure, yeah. So I am playing Estrella Montenegro. She is the doña of the ensemble, and she is a woman with luxurious silvering hair. She has measuring, thoughtful eyes, and is always dressed in severely tailored business attire.
Okay. And what is her relationship to the patriarch? I mean, is it a former husband? Is it a brother? Is it a business partner? What's her role in this?
So we are formerly married business partners.
Oh, even
and
more
I
complicated.
was thrown off for a younger woman.
But you've kept your hand in the business.
I own a major stake in the company as well, so.
Does she? What is her vision for the company?
So Estrella believes that we can't keep relying on the same old ways we've been doing things. We need to modernize. We need to get into the apps and do all of the things that the millennials want. And so that definitely butted heads with the ways that my ex-husband ran the company. And so there's definitely been some friction there.
Do you think you have kids?
Well, we do have, what's it? I think we do. And I think they are all off screen or or they're NPCs or something like that.
All right. We'll figure out who they
really
are.
wants to be my child.
Tell us about the moves that you took.
So one of the moves that I have is I automatically get schemes, which is I have 2 projects that I'm working on. I haven't decided what schemes I have yet because I would love to hear more about the other characters before I decide how to destroy them or help them. But yeah, the other moves that I took is what did I do? I took Tell Me Everything, which is when I offer to take the burden of someone's guilt. I ask them if they choose to accept or reject my advice. And if they accept, they can clear a condition if they do what I advise. If they don't, then they mark a condition. And then the other move I took was beautiful once. And when I remind someone of a time that we mixed business with pleasure, roll with these questions. And then on a hit, my target gave themselves to me or revealed something important to me. And I asked them a question that they must answer honestly. If it's a 10 plus, I have proof of it as well. And then on a miss, I've revealed more than I thought, and they can ask a question of me.
Excellent. Do you think that she's remarried, or is she's single, or has had multiple husbands? What's been her pattern after the breakup of her marriage?
So people not close to her think she's just married to her job, but people who are close to her are sick and tired of her philandering ways. It's a continuous parade of younger and younger men.
I like it. All right, that gives us a sense that we'll come back around to you once we've got everyone introduced, and we'll look at those relationships. Barry, can I come to you to have you introduce your caballero?
Sure. Cristobal Venegas is his light blue eyes search you out, leaving you unable to look away, unless it's to admire his square jaw or his cascading black hair, which is enough to distract you from how dressed down he is. I think that Cristobal used to be talent, but I think that something has taken him out of the ring, but kept him with the company. I think an injury would be a cool thing. Whether that's like a big scene, it was a big thing happened in the ring. Yeah, big spot, and everyone's wondering when's he going to come back, but he knows he can't get back in that ring again.
Oh, okay.
But he's good to keep around for business. The moves that I took are for your protection. When you offer your protection to someone and they accept, hold 1, spend that to appear in a scene with them at any time. Just because I like showing up in scenes when I'm not invited, and that gives me a great way to do it. It's also the closest that I could find to run in for this game.
Right, so, that makes sense.
And then because I was looking at the other moves that the folks were taking, I was like, well, I want this to be a whole thing that shows up in this game. So I grand gesture. When you express your love passionately, add the question, are you making this absurdly elaborative and excessive?
Do you imagine that Cristobal has power within the company now? Or wants to have more influence? What's his relationship with the company, you think, as it stands now?
Well, I think that there's probably only really one way to get to power within the company, but that's, a gentleman would never.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe if that's what it takes to get in, maybe. I don't know. I think I'm interested to see if Estrella just destroys me.
Oh. So, is he still in pretty good shape, or have the years taken their toll on him?
I think that he is. I think that he's still able to keep in shape, but not in ring shape.
Okay.
I think it's just a matter of maybe too many too many high flying stunts have just left him with nothing left in his knees and ankles. So leg day is tough, but he still looks good when he opens his shirt up.
Excellent. That sounds great. And we'll come back to you for those relationship questions. Peter, tell me about your character.
Yeah, so I am playing La Empleada. His name is Gabriel Rubio. He's a young man with dark, messy hair, wide, innocent eyes, and usually dressed in his work attire, whatever that is. I haven't solidified that. Don't really have a strong vision in mind for this part. I have a strong idea for this part.
Okay.
This, less this, although probably really fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you imagine that is he part of the management, working there, or is he a wrestler, or is he more of a trainee? What do you imagine?
Probably part of management. I would see him as management. He might have aspirations of wrestling that he's never told anyone in his entire life, but otherwise he's management.
So join the company out of a love for the sport.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has it lived up to his expectations?
Yes and no. the expectations he had, I think they've actually lived up to them pretty well. It's what he didn't know to expect that has sort of caught him off guard. Certain things that he's just kind of either learning to be comfortable with or trying to figure out a way out of.
That seems fair. You've got the suitor move, which we'll do after we do relationships. We'll figure that part out, or
Great.
during that.
Yeah.
And then what is your other move?
My other move is Keys to the Castle, which kind of similar to Barry's move. When you reveal that you've been secretly listening to a whole conversation, roll with these questions, and either I get away but someone saw you, I get away without being spotted, or ask the conspirators a follow-up question, my choice, or I miss, stumble, knock something over, otherwise reveal myself, which, that just sounds like all the makings of wonderfulness.
That seems great. And we'll come back to you on relationships. That brings us to Louise. Tell us about your character.
All right. So I'll be playing Amor Degollado, which goes by they and them. I think they are like a rising star in wrestling. And like Daryl mentioned that Estrella wants to modernize the company, the production. And I think they were someone who could be that person for them. I think they had like a big social media following, and with something, I think the patriarch was kind of getting in their way. I think they rubbed the patriarch the wrong way, and now he's conveniently dead, and they're just climbing faster and faster through the ranks. Just more followers every day. You landed a campaign with, I don't know, Dolce & Gabbana in Mexico.
So what do they look like?
All right, I missed that part.
Oh.
So they're young and fashionable. They have dark, luxurious black hair that's always pushed back to highlight their beautiful angular face, and piercing hazel eyes. They're as enticing as a praying wolf.
Do you think that you're the top woman wrestler in the promotion?
I'm hoping to have a non-binary category.
Oh, okay. So we don't even worry about the genders in this. So do you think you're one of the top wrestlers?
I think not. I think they're like just breaking into the top 5.
Okay.
They're certainly one of the most popular ones with the young fans. But like the diehard ones are like, oh, they have no farm, they have no stage presence, they're just an Instagram wrestler.
Probably the old school trainers who run the lucha colleges are just shaking their heads when they see you go. What did you take for your moves?
All right, so I took hard to pin down, which means that when someone tries to express their love to me, accuse me of lying, or spot something out of place in regards to me, I can interfere by remaining aloof or coy, and I get some extra questions to roll with that. I get the extra questions: are they being cruel, and are we in public?
Nice.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff here. On a temple, I can force someone to reveal their true feelings to me. And I got Ice Queen. When I reject someone immediately after expressing my love passionately, I can clear a condition or inflict a condition on that person.
Nice.
So I'm hoping to get some very cynic love confession at some point that I just turn around and the soundtrack shifts and I just go, you fool.
I like it. So one of the things we'll have to figure out when we come back to Estrella is obviously there have to be a couple of other people that are vying for control of the company, right? So we'll have to figure out who your NPC rivals are and what their relationship to you is, if these are your children or someone else, the second wife of the patriarch or whatnot. Estrella, let's come back to you, and why don't you pick one of your relationship questions, and you can, if you already have an idea who it is, or if you want to throw it out there.
So there is someone that I have sparred with for a very long time, and that is Cristobal.
Okay.
I have just been dealing with his nonsense for far too long, and I will remove him. I'll find a way.
Does he represent the old ways?
Yes, he's a stubborn stick in the mud, and he very much sides with Vicente on everything, and it shall be stopped.
And Vicente is?
Vicente is my ex-husband.
Okay. Is it your late ex-husband then?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's like the previous on was just like you see like Vicente turn around and raise a hand as like the blow comes down, and then you see like the blood on the pool table or something like that.
Yeah, we'll start at the funeral tonight.
Yeah.
Then let's do one of Cristobal's then.
So I have Blank knew you when you used to get into trouble and his senior hard side. And Louise, if you're into this, I think that Amor having like being like the up and comer, like maybe like you were still still coming up while I was like still competing. And I mean like I'm still backstage from time to time, and so that could be a whole thing. And yeah, the bar brawls are definitely a thing when we're in another promotion's territory, I'm sure. I mean, if you instigated them, it's only because you're better than those fools in that other city. So if you're into that, then I would love to mark you for that.
Okay, that sounds great. Which brings us to Gabriel.
All right, so I've got Blank holds control over your well-being as your employer, and I think that's Estrella. If you're all right with that? Yeah,
like
cool.
She definitely oversees the area that you work in.
Oh, yeah.
And what do you think of her?
I want to hold my tongue on that.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Which brings us to Amor.
All right. Let's see what I have here. Someone is the person I go to when I'm truly ready to cut loose. And I was hoping to go for Gabriel for this. If you think that's cool, Peter. I think like you're someone, since you mentioned like you have big innocent eyes, I think it's refreshing that it's someone that I don't even have to play. Because it's already like everything's already on the table.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did you know each other before you joined the company? Did you or is it just that you met during the process of this?
Oh, I think we could have been in the same like position, but then I was more cutthroat about it, and then I started rising and just left you. Yeah, like you were just content with doing your job. If you think that's cool.
Yeah. I like the aspect that like even though you were more cutthroat about it, I didn't have any hard feelings about it. I was just kind of like, yeah, you do you. And that was probably the point where I went, this is one of those things I didn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be good here in management because I ain't going to be out there getting my butt handed to me.
I like that. Estrella, what is your other relationship question?
So my other question is, someone is like a little broken bird that I need to take care of. And if Gabriel had said nice things, perhaps that would have been him. But I think that it's going to have to be Amor because they are the future of the company.
And how are they like a broken bird? What is it? What do you see in Amor that needs to be fixed?
I have heard about the bar brawls, and I have heard about all of the things that they are doing that they should not be doing if they really expect to raise their profile as a face.
Excellent. Does that work for you, Amor?
Yeah, absolutely. Amor has been doing the most and then some to rise. You're putting everything on the line.
Excellent. Cristobal, what is your other one?
My other one is someone is the person you go to when you're stuck and has seen your soft side. And boy, I think that has to be Estrella. That's all of the conflict all rolled up. So I think I'm good with that. If you're good with that, Harold.
I'm all about that.
Awesome.
How does Cristobal view Estrella? Is as a boss, as a mother figure? What do you think that interaction is like?
Well, I mean, Vicente was so much of a father figure that it's impossible not to see her in that way. And like all families are going to have their difficulties, and I'm sure that ours is no different. And I think I've been with the company for a long time. Maybe before the divorce, maybe Estrella had a different opinion of me. But if she was like away from the company and I was like with Vicente more while I was still in the game, then that I think that works as like a in the long ago. Estrella saw Cristobal like when he was very much that like up and comer.
Nice. You like that, Estrella?
I do.
Okay. Which brings us back to Gabrielle.
First, just because I didn't say nice things, I didn't say not nice things either. And I'm holding off for a reason, which will be revealed. And my question is, blank was the first person who was nice to you despite your humble beginnings, and I would like to offer that to Cristobal.
Like, I'm sure that everyone in the company, like, you have to get body slammed once. You have to know what it feels like. How'd you take it?
Publicly like a champ, privately like a crybaby.
Yeah, and I think that like probably one of the things that Cristobal would have done is just like, I think behind the scenes he would have like tried to like either like pick up some slack or just like talk you up like to the other talent, because Gabriel is like, he's a good guy, he's one of us, he's part of the company, like he's done all the same, he's done the same thing that we ask of everyone of this place.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you.
I like that. And that brings us to Amor for your other question.
My other question is, X has been a source of entertainment and flirtation, kept at arm's length. I'm seeing this going either, like, basically my options are Cristobal or Estrella at this point, because I don't want to put Gabriel on both. Estrella would be a very interesting choice. Like, Daryl did mention that there's a string of young contenders that just come and go in her life, and I think Amor has been like kind of playing that angle, like being flirty but making like a joke and playing on the line, like, oh, I'm flirting with the boss. But
maybe you perceive it as more than it actually is, kind of thing.
What's that?
Do you perceive it as more than it actually is, or maybe are you investing something in it, or?
I think Amor will never admit it, but I think they're attracted to a woman in power.
Does that work for you?
I'm very okay with that.
Okay.
Oh boy, we're gonna deal with all the mommy issues here.
Yes. Let's assume that we've got two others who are, rivals for control of the company, just because it makes sense and gives us our parallel. So we have Sebastian and Ava are our two other contenders. We'll figure out exactly what their relationship is, but we've got them on the board. So you said you decided your schemes.
I have. So, first and foremost, a girl's got to protect her assets. So, seize property is my first scheme. And seize property, choose a known property, which is the company.
Okay.
I have secretly secured legal control of the property. When I move in to take it, the law will back me up. It is a little bit complicated because of the murder thing, but we'll see how that goes.
Absolutely.
And then the other one that I am going for is I was originally going to choose protection, actually, but I think that plays too much into the role. So I'm going to choose keep them apart. And I'm going to choose that I want to keep Amor and Gabrielle apart.
I like that. Which does bring us, Gabrielle. Who are your two suitors?
Oh, I've been thinking about this, and I've been flip-flopping a lot because there's, choices to make. Oh, God. So, it does say choose two people, ideally player characters. I was considering making this very complicated and having one of them actually be Estrella. Yeah.
You're a handsome young man working there.
It
Little
makes
sexual
sense.
harassment suit waiting to happen.
Yeah. And then, okay, so the other one, I'm between Cristobal and Amor. But with that scheme in place, I think I have to go Amor. Because I gotta play right into that. And because I think that, it would just be so nice if only we weren't being kept apart.
I like that very much. So let's take our break here, just because the timing is going to be good. When we come back, we are going to go and figure out our last time on, which you'll pick one of those things. I'll have you describe for me a scene from the previous episode, and then we'll frame up with the funeral for Vincente, the papa of the company, and figure out where we go from there. So let's take 5, and we'll be back. So of course, before we get to the credits and the big sweeping orchestral score, or even maybe it's a little more metal because of the setting we don't know, or some sort of fusion blend. We have the previously on segments, and Estrella, we've already seen the previously on with the instead of turning around, being struck, and then his head hits the billiard table, and we see that blood come out, and then it cuts to you. And what is it that we see in your last time on?
So my last time on is that you actually see me meeting in secret with the lawyers, and there's this dramatic scene where I've got the pen and I like scrawl my name, and there's a flourish at the end, and then I just like cross my arms and smirk at the camera.
Excellent. They look very pleased with themselves. Why is this lawyer's office so dimly lit? You don't know. It's very strange. An odd choice. Cristobal, then it cuts to you. And what do we see for your scene of the last time on?
So last time on, I had just come into the billiards room to play a game with Vicente, and after chalking my cue, I picked up the cue ball, got all 5 fingers wrapped right around it, and then set it down as though to shoot. But our game is interrupted, and the next time we see that is in the hand of the person that brings it down on his head. I touched a weapon with my bare hands that has since gone missing.
Excellent. And then we come to you, Gabriel.
Oh yeah. So I think that there's I'm walking down the hallway of one of the behind the scenes things, and I think I bump into one of the other employees. A few things kind of go flying in the air. I pick up what I think is mine, and I rifle through it and end up finding a letter that is addressed to Estrella. And I have not opened it yet, but it is in my possession, and I'm not sure whether or not I should give it to her.
Especially given circumstances, the changes, the suspicions.
There's a lot going on, yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you were on the estate that night. Estrella was on the estate that night. So was Cristobal. So was Amor, for various reasons, of course, because that's how it works. It just happens, a large estate. So you have suspicions.
Yeah.
Suspicions.
And I think the last shot is actually of me with my eyes peeking through kind of like a slit in the doorway. Not sure how much I've seen, but wide eyes.
Excellent. And then Amor, what is your last time on?
Yeah, Amor, in the billiards room, and we see that, like, if you think that's okay, Barry, in your scene there was a large wine stain on the table, and now we see how that happened. We just see like a shot of Amor throwing her wine into Vicente's face. It's like they're like, "You don't ever lay your hands on me again, unless you put a wrestler's outfit and step into the stage. You don't touch me, old man." And they just step out of the room angrily.
You'll never make it in this business now. He shouts after you. And we go to the credits and the title sequence and all of that. And then we cut into this huge funeral. We've got a decent budget for this. So we've got a lot of people dressed in black. We have a lot of wrestlers in the audience. We can see the masked wrestlers there. We can see that there's certainly a crowd that has kind of gathered around Sebastian, a crowd that's kind of gathered around Ava, and probably Estrella, a little bit of a crowd that has gathered around you, since you seem to have some pull there. We get a shot of famous wrestlers like the Blue Devil and Santo carrying the coffin, bearing it to the graveyard. Estrella, what about this day has not gone according to your plans? What has gone wrong?
Well, I am horribly frustrated that I cannot announce that I have secured rights to the company. There is definitely a lot of tension at the office about who is going to lead, because I assume that Sebastian and Eva have claims that they are going to bring about, but I know that it's only a matter of time.
And so you've had to keep quiet while these whelps have been talking and clearly planning and plotting. And as you are standing there, you see this gentleman in a kind of a shabby black trench coat approaches, and he's like, Miss Montenegro?
Yes?
So I wondered if I might have a word with you.
Who are you, and why would I step into a private room with you?
No, just over here for a brief conversation. My name is Detective Velasquez.
The detective working on Vicente's case.
Yes. I've been trying to arrange an interview with you, but you're a hard woman to track down.
Well, you did track me down in the end at my ex-husband's funeral. But yes, please, let us move into a separate space so we may discuss this.
And he kind of lopes along a little bit stoop-shouldered, and he will move you off to the side. He will say, I wonder, I have your formal statement that you gave the police, and so I have a sense of where you were throughout the evening, but I wanted to get your perspective, if I could.
My perspective on what, detective?
Well, I know there's been people talking about a upset wrestler, someone cut from the company. That's the going theory here, but doesn't quite make sense. So who do you think stands to gain from your former husband's death?
Well, I suppose I should clear myself of any suspicion, because you'll find out eventually. Quite honestly, I think that the easy suspect would have been me, but I'm going to clear you of that. I'm going to clear you of that foolish idea right now. And I pull out the contract that I've signed and said, I had already taken everything that I needed from Vicente. I have control of the company now, and there is no reason why I should have killed him. If you want to find someone who might have reason to wish my ex-husband ill, perhaps you should talk to Cristobal.
Cristobal, that's interesting. Interesting thing. Certainly he was the last person to see Vicente. And I'm sure this contract that you say is ironclad, and Vicente would not have taken you to court for a number of years and tied this up.
Oh, it is beyond ironclad. I don't do anything in half measures.
Well, good for you. Well, thank you for your perspective. I will speak with Cristobal and see what he thinks.
Please do. And I would appreciate it if you could wrap this up quickly and quietly.
Oh, I do not worry. Do not worry, Miss Montenegro. I am the soul of discretion.
I shall believe that when it is proven true.
That's what I usually say.
I beat you to it.
And he will walk away, having clashed a little and not gotten the better of that interaction. Cristobal, what do we see of you? What are your feelings on this day?
There incredibly complicated, because in the same way that that I saw Vicente as a father in a lot of ways, and saw that that I had a place like in this company and in this family. I was not asked to be a pallbearer. I think that like during the service, I think that I was in like I expected that I would have been right up front with the rest of the family, but the ushers directed me off to like the third or fourth row, and I think that caught me off guard. And probably I've spent most of the most of the service like sharing stories with the other talent about some of our favorite storylines that Vicente helped us like work in and establish and build over the decades that he was in charge of this company, and how like it's really just not going to be the now that he's gone. But finding myself on the outside, like I'm glad to be with the other talent, but it just wasn't what I expected.
And there's a bit as you're kind of doing that when you will feel a touch on your arm, and you will look and you will see Eva, Vicente's daughter, is there, and she says, Cristobal, may I speak with you for a moment?
And like if I haven't already like interacted with her at the service, like of course I open my arms wide to try and take her in, and give her that the kind of comforting hug that like even like the guests at this service might do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it's out of place. But I'm curious if she rejects that, if she like pulls back from it.
She holds back a little bit from that, but she does finally return the hug, and she will say, I know that when you were sat back a ways, I'm sorry, but the appearances.
It's a very private time for your family. I understand.
And well, frankly, there are some who, given that you were the last to see my father.
I could not have been the last to see your father.
Oh, no, obviously, besides the killer.
Ava, you know what your father meant to me, and you know that I will not rest until we find what is who's done this this heinous thing to him.
No, but I also know that you'd floated at the level you had for a number of years. And I wanted to speak to you because I think that's a grave injustice.
I'm sorry, I want to make sure that I understand like the tone of where you're going with this. Sorry.
So she's certainly saying that she knew that you had kind of been held back, you hadn't been able to rise up. And she's suggesting that she feels that was unjustly done to you, that you weren't able to get ahead. She says brazenly trying to manipulate you.
Sure.
You can tell.
Am I open to that manipulation?
We know that she wants you on her side. Like she clearly has ambitions, and she's looking to co-opt you over to her camp, as it were.
Sure. And I'll tell her, well, my knees, the way that they are, I can't fly like I once did.
You don't have to fly the lead.
Oh, that's really interesting. So you obviously have no concern that I would have hurt your father.
No, or why would I come and speak to you like this? I just want you to think about what you want for your future with the company. I want you to know that I am here for you.
I think that I would love to process my feelings out loud about this.
Oh, okay.
With the cutaway from it's like after the conversation, I think that
Where does that happen? Where do we see you next?
It's an open casket, or no, it's a closed casket, right? So so I think that it's at at the casket, like before it's taken away to be interred, and
moments alone where you can speak to him.
Yeah. And I think I say, Vicente, I know that I could not have accomplished half of what I accomplished without you. I'll miss you dearly. I'll miss the constant turns. I'll miss the mask matches that you put me into. But I think I'll miss the company the way that it was the most of all, because I don't know what my place in it is now.
Interesting. Louise, are you rooting for Cristobal, or is he a fall guy?
Is it like I played the previous version of the game? Do we have to pick an audience member, or is this us as players?
We ask each member of the audience, which each PC. It doesn't say that you have to pick a particular audience member to take the role of.
I'm gonna be controversial. I'm saying I'm not rooting. Like,
not yet.
That guy. Not that great.
Okay, it's early in the episode. He hasn't got your sympathy. What do you think, Daryl? Are you rooting for him?
I feel so sorry for him. That's such a sweet sentiment, and he just lost his father figure, and pobrecito.
Okay. So yeah, rooting for him. And what about you, Peter?
I mean, he body slammed me, so obviously I'm rooting for him.
Okay. So you're going to roll with a +2. The roll for your party is on the basic moves tab, just under the process your feelings.
Okay, that is an 11.
That is an 11. So what is it that you want?
I think what I want is this is going to be a little bit abstract, but I think I want the company to be able to honor the memory of Vicente, and I think that the way that we do that is through kind of like the back to basics approach of when he came into this, it was very good guys and bad guys, and that's where he got his start before it turned into the very convoluted thing that it became. But I think that honoring the honoring the roots of the sport means letting a new audience live live through the brand new development of like, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, and this is the wild set of events that get spurred into motion because of that.
So how do you? So the question is, how we're going to ask the audience how we can get the company to return to its roots.
Yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on that from the audience? Is it manipulating someone? Is it organizing the wrestlers? What would you think?
Or is there one of the other two like contenders for the company that would find that like a sympathetic approach?
Daryl?
So my initial suggestion was that the audience would tell you to trick the Doña into like signing away her claim, but I think that probably Sebastian is your greatest ally here, because Sebastian hates what Estrella is doing to the company.
That's right. She's the voice of modernity, so it's Sebastian that you need to talk to. And so the 10 plus allows us to set that scene. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up that scene, but I'm going to go and check in with everybody else, and then we'll come back to that. Essentially, a chance for you to corner Sebastian, probably while he's sort of simmering with anger at Estrella, when he's in the right mood here at the tail end of the funeral. Does that seem okay? Gabrielle, what do they have you doing here at this? What you've probably been working your butt off here. What have you had to do?
Yeah, so I think originally I'd probably gone to Estrella to just kind of ask for a little time during the funeral, just to be able to help process things, because as much as she's my employer, Vicente was a person, and I feel awful about what happened. And before I can even get 2 words out, it's probably like, no, you got to like get all this, like you have things to take care of. And so I've kind of been, I think I've been trying to delegate as best I can without having to do a ton of it, but I've probably been getting caught up in, I think probably going around and just making sure all the, let's say, important people at the funeral are as well taken care of as possible, keeping up appearances, just trying to make sure.
Who treats you the best? Is it the wrestlers? Is it a particular person? Is it a part of the company? What do you imagine it is?
I think it's probably the wrestlers. Although I think every time I kind of try and go towards Amor to see what they're thinking, for some reason, one of my own employees just kind of seems to go and take care of things.
And there will be a bit, and then you will see that rumpled detective. You must be Mr. Rubio.
Yes, how may I help you?
I wonder. I'm Detective Velasquez. Could I just have a moment of your time?
Yes, but just a moment. I'm on the clock right now.
Don't I know it? So I was going through my notes, and I understood that you were on site at the estate the night of the unfortunate events.
Yes.
But I don't have a statement as to what you were doing there and what you saw.
Oh.
Just clarify that for me.
Yes, well, as for what I was doing there, I'm employed by Estrella, and I just kind of carry out any necessary business around the estate that needs to be done besides dealing with the management of the wrestlers and everything like that. As for what I saw, it was I wasn't able to get a good enough look at really anything. Things were dark, and I think I heard a scream, but like it was late, and I really the night kind of shook me up, and it's hard to keep things together.
I understand. So you're Miss Montenegro's assistant.
Assistant isn't the right word.
Then what is the right word?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I mean I do know.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are a few words. I don't know if there's one word. And it's probably best if I don't say.
And he kind of stands there waiting for you to say something else.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. You're a detective. I should be telling you these things so that I'm not implicated. I understand that with
No. I've got a very clear picture from what you've already said.
What kind of picture?
Yes. So, just one more question.
Yes. Sure.
Who do you think killed Vicente?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't like to assume these things. A man died, and it's none of my business how to really, accuse anyone. But it doesn't. It seems more important to focus on the fact that he died, and we should respect how he lived.
See, for me, it's more important that we focus on finding out who killed them so they don't kill anyone else. But I'll leave you to it. And he walks away.
Detective.
Yes?
I thought I saw Cristobal in there.
Interesting. Thank you for being brave enough to share that with me.
Yes, I must be going.
Yes. And the abuela gave you an XP for that sequence there, Peter. So you can mark an XP, and you can get the abuela audience reaction and cough desperately. Sorry.
I'm trying so hard.
Amor, you're kind of this. I mean, this funeral's going on, but you're also kind of the center of some attention here. Both because you're one of the high flyers in the company, but also I'm assuming that you look really good in black.
I have this whole look in my head that I don't know if I'll be able to express in words. But I think it's something like a black Steiner laser thrown over my shoulders, and I have like this slightly heart-shaped cleavage thing going on to implicate that it's like my brand that's using hearts, and it kind of like has a crack going down the middle of the stomach. It just stops right above the belly button. It's just right at the edge of decency.
Still vaguely tasteful.
Yes, just enough.
And so what do you want to get out of the funeral?
Publicity. I want to take a very beautiful fake candid picture throwing a rose into the casket. as it gets lower down.
So
I
yeah,
have someone with my phone ready.
we see you come up. We hear the of all the photographers there as you come up with. We see that, and their reporters are like, Ms. Moore, do you plan on continuing wrestling with Vicente gone? The person who was your mentor. Do you think you'd be able to continue on in this? What's your expectations? Where do you want the company to go now?
Oh, please, it's not safe to discuss such things at this tragic day. Be sure to tune in on my Instagram live 2 hours from now. I'll explain everything then.
Oh, and you'll definitely see that Sebastian, he's giving you that look of just absolute disgust at your behavior and what you represent in the company.
I've seen worse. I think I'm gonna stride purposefully towards him.
Okay. And
I'm gonna just. What does he look like, by the way?
he's probably middle-aged, square-jawed. We've got a handsome actor to play him. The actor looks a little bit like the same actor that played Vicente, just to get a little bit of it. He's done some in-ring work, so he keeps himself fit. He considers himself a wrestler, but he's not as good as he thinks he is.
All right. Okay, let's play this guy. So they stroll up to Sebastian, like maintaining eye contact all the way through, and then Amor
He's
makes
trying to maintain eye contact with you, but that dress.
I try. I absolutely try. Yeah, is he Vicente's son? Harold asking chat.
Let's ask Estrella. We've established Eva as the daughter. What is Sebastian's relationship?
Sebastian is Vicente's ward. So technically not blood, but still thinks that they have a legitimate claim to the empire.
Great story about him being pulled as an orphan off the streets of Mexico City, and having he kind of would hide at the corners of the wrestling training halls, and then Vicente saw him and adopted him. So he's got history.
Can I add a little something more to that?
Sure.
I think that Sebastian and Estrella were really close. Like, he definitely saw her as a mother figure until all of this happened.
Yeah, he has deep suspicions.
I'm curious to hear where those suspicions are.
Amor?
Sebastian, such a terrible loss. I know you must be feeling awful.
And you must be too, under the glare of all these cameras.
Such is the way that us wrestlers have to carry. We have to be a brave face. Those poor people who don't know how to handle the pressure.
He softens a little. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Had you spoken to him recently?
I had. He had big plans for the company.
They just give the most cynical, oh? Like, the audience know that this is bullshit, but they're pulling their best act.
He said he wanted to speak with you about your future with the company. Did he have a chance to do that?
We did exchange words, Sebastian, but I would rather not speak ill of the dead.
What do you mean?
Well, if you must know, your father, I want to say father. I'm going to go with father, but even though I know
You would call him father.
Okay. Your father made some uncomfortable gestures towards me while we were in private. It was awful.
How dare you? How dare you say that?
only the truth, Sebastian. Please don't get so riled up.
Your insinuations are dishonor a great man.
Is he accusing me of lying? Oh, he's an NPC.
He's an NPC, but he kind of is.
Okay. And I'm gonna play this for the cameras. I think I give him just like a small smirk, and then I start fake crying. I'm just like, I put a shaking hand over my mouth, and I'm like, I know that it's a tough day for you, but I really didn't want to have this scene right now. I just have a lot of feelings, and you're being so unfair to me in this moment. I just can't. Sorry that I'm such a mistake for you, Sebastian, that I don't fit your idea for this company. And they just turned around.
Oof. I think that's striking out at someone right there with voice or violence.
All right.
So what is your personal question is, are you the center of attention? I think you've raised your voice to do that.
Oh yeah.
Have you caught them off guard?
Did they expect me to break down?
Probably not like that. And have they just wronged you?
Not formally. I mean, it's an insult, but
let's say a +2 then.
all right. That's 7 on the dice. So 9.
All right. So he flinches back, and he looks a little cornered, and he will say that we both misspoke. We both misspoke. But you and he withdraws, like he's clearly, you have the upper hand, and he is forced to head off to be by himself there. And cameras catch this confrontation of you crying. We see him a little red faced. The shot is not flattering for him. And we've got that in the records.
Right.
Let's cut from that to Cristobal's interaction then, since it dovetails nicely for that, and then we'll come back to Estrella. Is that okay? And we'll see if we can pair some people up for some scenes.
Just a simple question. I'm sorry.
Please.
Does that mark a condition as well?
On a 10+, you can take something from them or avoid marking condition. Oh yeah, you're right. So yeah, you would mark a condition as well.
I'm gonna say I'm zealous. Zealous means careful, right?
Zealous means like passionate, overwrought about something.
Okay, I'm gonna go with obsessed then. Like I have a new prey, and that's Sebastian.
I like that. So Cristobal, you will find Sebastian by essentially where the bar staff for the wake have been kind of setting up the drinks and such, and he's back there, and he's already grabbed a bottle of something hard, and he's pouring himself a drink, and he sees you, and he pulls out another plastic tumbler, clacks it down, pours an equal measure out for you. Cristobal.
With Sebastian, on such a day, no one should have to drink so much by themselves. And I'll sit down with him. And after a few moments of just like silent togetherness, like just being in each other's company here. I think I'm gonna say, when Vicente started this whole promotion, it was very easy to tell the heroes from the villains, but now everyone is so gray, even when they're dressed in all black. And I shoot a glance over at Amor, and I say, if there was ever a time that that someone could really reveal themselves to be a villain would be to take advantage of a good man's a good man's family gathered to remember him and try to turn that into their own thing, don't you think?
That Amor, she is dangerous, manipulative. She represents the worst this company has to offer.
But they are a very compelling villain when they want to be.
I would rather my villains not be villains in real life. There's such a thing as too much kayfabe.
Don't worry about Amor. As long as they can fill the role on camera, I can try to steer them back. Maybe get them off the social media some, get them off the Instagram and let kayfabe be kayfabe like it used to be.
If you can teach her her proper place, there will be a seat for you at the table, Cristobal.
I just don't want them out. They're too talented to let go.
Well, keep her in line, and maybe we can make something of this company.
I'm looking at the moves and trying to figure if there's anything that I can actually get that +1 ongoing to sway him, and I'm not quite certain.
Let's see here. You could spot something out of place.
Oh, that actually sounds perfect.
Okay.
Because Sebastian is like, I don't know if I expected him to have as strong an opinion as he has. So, I think that would be a good way to go.
Absolutely. Then let's look at your base question is, are you handling things head on and without guile?
I'm going to leave that to you to decide.
I don't think so. I think we got a little bit of guile here. I think you are free of other distractions if we go to the spot something out of place. I think that seems fair. Have you spent time with Sebastian recently? Or is he a little more distant?
I like if Sebastian is like managing like an aspect of the brand that I wouldn't have had like a lot of interaction with.
Okay. So a little bit of distance. So that'll be just then with your +1. Total will be a +2.
Okay. Roll these dice. That is a 9.
It's a 9. On a hit, you get to ask 2 questions.
And on a 7 and 9, they get to ask me 1 too. How does your character feel about Estrella?
Oh, he wants to destroy her.
Destroy. Oh, that's big.
He is certain that she killed Vicente. You can tell he isn't saying it, but he is certain of that.
Okay. And how could I get you? How could I get Sebastian to just keep Estrella off my back?
If you can keep Amor in line,
okay,
then he will certainly listen to you.
Okay, cool.
And work to that end.
Cool.
What are you planning?
I think that what I'm planning is, like, I know that I'm like I don't have like a super unique skill set to offer. Like if you want a washed up wrestler, boy, I know where you can find about a dozen of them. But I don't know anything else. So like either my future now with Vicente dead and the future of the company in question is either with the company, which is, I mean, it's both status quo and like a change, but it's that's way better than the alternative of being like on the outside and not having I do not have I did not do great with my my merch sales. I was never like the
Right.
number one t-shirt or anything. I came and I did my job, and you know the thought was that when I was finished there would be something backstage for me, and now I suddenly don't know if that's the case.
And he says to you, as he kind of rises, finishes off his drink, he says, I could use someone who could find talent, maybe not for in the ring, but for other purposes. We will speak again.
Awesome.
Estrella, what scene would you like to call now? Would you like to interact with one of the other PCs? What do you think?
So I think I'd like to interact with Amor.
Okay.
But
Sure.
just as one side note, real quick, I would prefer if Sebastian did not misgender them. I don't know if that was like that just being like really kind of like
I
being terrible about
apologize.
that. So
I apologize.
I mean,
Yeah,
it seemed on character, but I prefer that not to.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good to point out. So we're starting out. So yeah, so let's just say for the retcon, he was correctly gendering Amor through and I'll try to be better about that in the future. I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I think this is. It's my scene. I'm gonna frame it. Like I think this is happening at like some like upscale hotel. Well, no, it's at the family. So it's like in like a really like glitzy, glamorous like lounge that we usually entertain guests in, and it's all like crystal chandeliers and golden candlesticks, and there's a very well stocked bar with a bartender, and I'm just sitting there with my cocktail, staring off into the distance.
Another drink, Miss Montenegro?
Yes, please. It's been a very trying day, and I need to unwind.
Pour you another. Skilled bartender brings that over to you. And the crowd kind of circulates around you. You are the center of attention, but nobody necessarily wants to approach you. So how does the scene move from there?
Well, I was thinking Amor could walk in whenever they wanted, or I could potentially like have a moment of monologue where I process my feelings out loud into my drink.
Which would you prefer? Should we just bring more in, or do you want to hear your internal monologue here?
I think I kind of want to go low key, ladies who lunge. So yeah. So when I process my feelings out loud, ask each member of the audience if they're rooting for me or not.
So let's hear your feelings before we
Okay.
decide whether we're going to root for you.
Okay. It's like on this day, the day of my ex-husband's funeral, I find myself in such a torrent of emotions. I've only ever wanted to do what is best for this company and these people, and I did it. But I didn't imagine it would involve losing Vicente. I don't know how I feel about losing him. It's been so long, and I hated him for so long, that I cannot bear the thought of not arguing with him.
Nice. Louise, are you rooting?
I am rooting. Pobrecita.
What about you, Peter? Are you rooting for Estrella? Does that seem sincere to you?
I was sold at the very end with the now I can't argue, I miss arguing with him. That was the most sincere, and I'm in support.
Absolutely. And Barry?
My support is conditional. I have a question for Daryl.
Okay.
At the outset, you said husband and then ex-husband. Were you just correcting yourself, or did it come out that way?
I think that was in the script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Rooting.
Okay. So you've got a plus 3.
Dang. Okay. Let's see if I don't screw it up anyway. Yeah, I needed all 3 because it was like it's a 5, so it's an 8 now.
Okay.
So
On a hit, you get to choose one of those.
let's see here. I think it would be amazingly dramatic if the audience tells you how you might find love with a partner of their choosing.
Oh. Well, so an audience member want to put something forward? Is Gabriel vulnerable right now?
I'm very vulnerable. I would put that out there, but like, I don't just want to be like, that's the most obvious choice. Because, I mean, you know what? Yeah, fine. I'll put it out there. And I think it's very much that, like, Gabriel is just looking for a moment to, like, actually process all of this without having to, like, work his butt off. And he is still working his butt off. So I think, you know, there's giving him the chance to just like drop his persona, so to speak, might actually work out.
Does that work for you, Miss Montenegro?
I think that that's probably great. It's like one of those things, like as I'm like crying into my drink, the camera like focuses me out, and then on the other side of the room is like Gabriel.
So we probably see Gabriel seeing you crying, and do you approach her?
Oh, yeah, I think I do. Like, partly out of like, are you waiting for anyone? And if like I'll at least like keep people away. Like that's I think my intent is like, uh-oh, my boss is crying and I'm gonna like make sure that she's kept safe?
Yeah.
Question mark? Yeah.
I have a question for you before we move this scene forward. With your suitors, you choose one of them that is you're kind of like more in love with of the two right now. Is that Amor or Estrella at the start of this?
Oh, at the start of this. Oh man. Like real. Who am I kidding? Realistically, yeah, it's actually probably Estrella.
Okay. So as you are there and your emotions hitting you hard, Estrella, Gabriel is there. Out of nowhere, there to protect you.
And like when she looks over and notices, like she immediately like sits up and like dabs at her eyes and says, "Oh, Mr. Rubio, I didn't see you there. Have you accomplished all of the things that I set you to today?"
Yes, madam. I just wanted to make sure everything was all right. I know this. I don't know. I'm sure this day must be difficult, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone else was kept at bay in case you wanted the space.
For heaven's sakes, Gabriel, he was my ex-husband, not my current husband. And then she's like, but thank you.
The emotions are a funny thing. We don't always get to say how we feel.
That is rather astute.
I mean, I'm more than just a person who goes around and gets things done. I mean, plus I get things done. I mean,
You actually make her laugh at that point. She just like kind of like laughs a little bit and then like catches herself and like sits back up and like the like ice facade comes back.
yeah. And I think Gabriel just has a very small smile to himself because he does notice, but he chooses to let the facade return and just kind of goes, I may not be the person who should be saying this, but just be aware, in all of this turmoil, there are people who want to make sure that you are cared for.
I appreciate that, Gabriel. Now,
Gabriel, let me ask you a question here before we move forward here. Does that rise to the level of expressing your love passionately, or is it a little more low key? I want to know what you're imagining of that.
I think, oh man, yeah, it's probably low key, but like if I say another line, it'll probably push it. Like, and I think that line is probably something along the lines of just, and if you don't mind my saying, if it's not crossing a boundary, some of those people are closer than you might believe.
Then let's look at the questions here. Are you in over your head, Gabriel?
Absolutely.
Are you dressed to impress?
I mean, that depends on the interpretation of how impressive my, like, I think I'm still working. I think
so probably you're still in working clothes. I mean, it's nice, but you're not fashionably to impress. Do they believe you're single?
That's a good question.
I do not believe Estrella has ever considered that.
So that's a total of a +1.
Okay, cool. Oh boy, here we go. Let's just roll. Oh, that's a 6.
So as you are talking.
Oh, wait, no. Okay, thank you, Barry. I am going to use this. I am going to use my La Abuela move.
Which does what? Oh, immediately a 10+. Look at that. Okay. I thought I had a move coming.
Abuela, look at
okay, so this is the thing now that you need to react to, Estrella. On a hit, your target gives themselves to you or reveals a secret they probably shouldn't. On a 10+, they also tell you whether they love you or not, and who else they love.
Can this be like a? Can both of those things be the same answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
She like looks at you, like she like looks at you and like just keeps standing up straighter, like sitting up straighter and straighter and like clutching her glass into her chest, and she's just like, I love Cristobal, and then like goes red like crazy and then must immediately flee the scene.
Oh my gosh, that is the best.
Oh, that was dreadfully wonderful.
Oh, so we'll come back to you in a moment. Amor.
Yeah.
Who do you want to cross paths with?
I'm so shocked. I want to cross paths with Cristobal. Like, we just mentioned him. We can just, like, slide cut to him because he talked to Sebastian, and I'm obsessed with him. So I want to talk to Cristobal.
Okay. So where do you come across Cristobal? We're in the later part. The funeral has kind of broken up. People have gone to their various places in the state, and so on. Where do we cross paths with him?
I think to make it very dramatic, if Barry is okay with that, I think Cristobal is looking at this statue of an angel that has like one broken wing, superimposing on top of this grave of this legendary wrestler called El Angel, who died on the stage very dramatically like 20 years ago. It's just some place that the wrestlers always visit.
That's so perfect.
Yeah. So you Amor will see Cristobal.
Yeah, they walk up to Cristobal and they're holding like an umbrella, and they don't say anything for a little while, but then they say, "I saw you were talking to Sebastian."
I was. He lost a lot. How are you holding up?
I'm alright, you know how it is. We lose people, we move on. We're wrestlers, it's our job to get back up. But I find it harder to get back up when I have no one on my side. And the way that Sebastian was talking to me, it felt like it was in his interest to keep me down. And I'm wondering, what's your interest after talking to him? He's a powerful man now that his guardian is dead.
I think that it's really important that people in our profession understand what things are when we're in the ring and understand what things are when we're outside of the ring, so that the audience can understand who we are when we're inside the ring, no matter what. And the way that things used to be, it was so easy to know that. But overexposure is such a problem. And I know that it's part of the lights, it's part of the fame and part of the show, part of the reason why we all do it, but it's still a job, and I just want to make sure that you're doing your best when you're doing your job, and you can you can set some of those things aside. I think that could really take you to the next level.
I mean, I've gotten pretty far just doing what I'm doing. Do you think that I'm not doing enough? Think that I'm not a good wrestler? That I don't bring people to the stage? That I don't get us viewers, followers, likes, shares, replies?
I know that I was a little early for the kind of social media that you do, but I thought that about myself once too. And what I had to come to expect and come to live with was that as long as the show's the show, it doesn't, the show's going to go on without Vicente, and the show has gone on without me. What do you think it's going to be like when you're done? Do you want is what you want to really leave an audience understanding who you are?
I don't need them to understand me, Cristobal. I need them to love me.
Awesome. Oh, that's good. So good.
And I'm gonna strike at you. I'm sorry.
Oh, do it.
And you talk a lot about us as if we're super professional people who would never betray the illusion that we put on stage for popularity. But we go back a long time. I think I don't remember the people who would go watch us when we were just a small production, and the only reason that they went there is because they knew what you'd done the night before. They heard about the fights. They heard about the broken arms, the bottles, the tables. They knew that you were an animal back then, when we didn't care about what people thought about us. We could just do whatever, and just wreak havoc. And they went there because they wanted the violence. They don't want it. They don't. They never wanted us to put on a little show for them. They wanted us to see something raw, something true. And I know that's still inside you. You keep playing the washed-up card, but I know that you want to get messy. You want to do what I do. You want to break the walls. You want to be your true wrestling self everywhere. You don't want to take off your costume. You want to wear it around the world.
Does that rise to the level of a move there, Louise? Are you trying to hit something?
I'm trying to strike out at someone with my voice.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, you're laying a little more malice and a nastiness into it. So yeah, they let these words out. Will hit Cristobal. Are you the center of attention?
I guess it's an audience of one.
Yeah.
So tell me if he's captivated.
Yeah, there's no one else to draw off the attention away from you. Have you caught Cristobal off guard?
Have I?
What do you think, Cristobal?
I don't know. I think I think that I probably with the degree that Sebastian was concerned about Amor, like I'm not surprised that they continue to like to use this day to for anything except honoring the memory of Vicente.
Fair enough. Do you think that Cristobal has wronged you?
Not really.
Okay.
I'm just being spiteful so I can intimidate him into not pursuing like an aggressive line towards me.
So yeah, you're rolling with a +1.
Right. Oh yeah, it's a miss.
And as you are talking there, as you're saying that, you will hear a and you will see that detective standing there with a couple of police officers, and he will say, "Mr. Moore?"
Yes.
"We'd like you to come with us down to the station."
May I know the reason why I'm being taken anywhere?
"We're arresting you on suspicion of murder."
Oh my. I want to react, but I just want the shot of Amor just being shocked and handcuffed and taken away so bad.
Okay, perfect.
Can I interject something?
Sure.
Oh, I absolutely take a photo of this that's going on Instagram.
Oh, what a terrible person you are, and I love it.
It's what they would have done.
Okay. Can I just for that? Can I go ahead and give Barry the La Madre? Because that was just awful.
Yes, I think
That
that's
was
fair.
the worst.
Mark XP for that, and that is classic. And they take you away in shock, Amor. I'm going to cut from that to Estrella. We've seen you flee out of that scene. Where do we find you next?
I think that this would be the perfect time for a confrontation with Ava.
Okay. You will see Ava has been moving around talking to the various wrestlers. She's not a fan of Sebastian. She is moving around, and she sees you, and she says, Is she your daughter?
I think she is. Yeah, I think that Sebastian is not, but I think she is.
She says, "Mother."
My daughter, I see you are looking fresh and bright on your father's funeral day.
You're the one who taught me to keep up appearances.
And you're doing that so well.
What is it you want?
Merely to offer my condolences. You have lost your father, and I have lost my partner.
And your husband.
Ex-husband. As you know, Vicente has that young thing over there, and I point at Adriana.
Yeah. And she looks at you. Yeah. She goes, "Adriana hadn't even entered into my considerations of this day."
Well, as well she shouldn't, but I'm afraid that we have yet to hear your father's will, and that is another thing we must contend with.
I can't imagine that Adriana is going to get anything besides perhaps another surgery.
Be that as it may, I do believe that your father was probably more generous to her than you take for granted.
And she pauses, like she clearly knows something. She goes, "Well, that may be the case."
And I pick that up on that, and I kind of would this be, so I have the move tell me everything, but do I need to like trigger that with like spot something out of place?
Let's see. Yeah, I think you'd want to first. She doesn't have the guilt yet, so you'd probably want to read the sitch to get to that. So, let's do the spot something out of place.
Okay. Well, I'm not conniving, so I don't know that this is necessarily keeping my hands clean.
Right.
I'm pretty active in this scene.
Have you spent time with your daughter recently?
I think that we're actually estranged,
So,
and this is the first couple of time we've spoken in like probably months or something like that. But I do believe we are free of other distractions because I'm very focused on her right now.
Okay. And you will be that. So we'll roll with a +1.
Oh, it's an 8.
Is an 8. So you get to ask 2 questions.
Okay. So, Ava, what do you have of value or use?
She has clearly seen the will.
Good. And how do you feel about your mother right now?
She's afraid of you. She doesn't hate you. She clearly has her own plans. She's your daughter, her own plots, and she's afraid that you, whatever you're going to do, is going to tip over the apple cart, as it were. And that's what's got her. Does that seem fair?
I think so, yeah. And I think that what I do is I kind of lean in, and I actually take her hands, and it's like, my little bird, please, I need to know that we can put all of these things behind us. I need to know that you'll move back into the house with me. I've missed you so much.
And I'm going to ask my question back, which is, what are you planning?
I am plotting to use you against Sebastian.
Okay. And she says, "Of course, you're my mother. I have to look out for you. I will come to your house and take care of you."
And I like let a tear escape my eye, and then I lurch forward and I like take her in. I take her into my embrace, but then the camera does that thing where it's like focuses in on me over her shoulder, and then like my face just hardens again.
Yep.
As I glare at what was her face, like the current wife,
Antonia?
Adriana.
Adriana. Okay. I'm gonna write that name down or else I'll forget it.
I also started an NPCs tab in the
Oh,
Keeper,
thank you.
so.
I'll grab pictures and stuff. I do have a Pinterest board for telenovela characters too. Wow, Gabriel, you just got crushed.
Yeah. Oh boy. Having a grand old time over here in devastated city. Population me.
Then what's your reaction when you see the police taking Amor away?
Oh, that hurts even more because like I think I was probably like going to go and find Amor and then seeing them taken away. I'm like looking at the sky going, "Ay, Dios mío, I can't catch a break." And just oh god, I mean, I'm probably going to go to Cristobal first because I need to find out like what the heck is going on because I just see Amor being taken away and I don't have any context.
I assume that we see Cristobal kind of following in the wake of that, and you might see him, you know, what do we see Cristobal's reaction to this? Are you trying to stop it? Are you kind of just following behind, or what does Gabriel see you doing?
Yeah, no, I think after I've taken the photo of Amor, I threw this in the chat, but I have to say this so that it can be the in the stage, like in the scene for Gabrielle to react to. But as they're loading them into the the back of the police car, so you see what happens when you always wear the mask more, or when there's no mask at all.
Yeah, and I think that's when Gabriel comes up behind you and just isn't thinking right now and kind of grabs you by the shoulder and goes, "What the heck is happening?"
Haven't you heard? There was a murder. Then there's been an arrest.
What? Yeah, I realize about the murder, but Amor is innocent. They didn't do anything.
Let's see. How would you know they did nothing? How much time are you spending with them? Were you with them the entire night?
No, I was not, but deep down I know that they're innocent. They couldn't possibly do this.
And have you talked to the detectives about this? What did you tell them? What would have put the investigation on their trail?
Well, nothing I said. I didn't even bring them up. I haven't seen them. It's like I've been getting the runaround, and it's so completely beyond me why that would be happening.
Do you have any tells? Which I think would be spotting something out of place.
Right.
Okay.
If that works.
Yeah. Seem right to you?
Yeah.
Then are you handling things head on or without guile?
I'm not quite sure what it is that we've got the dramatic irony of like, I of course know that both Estrella and Gabrielle have thrown me under the bus, but Cristobal doesn't.
So I think without guile is reasonable to say there.
Okay.
Have you been intimate? Like, have you spent a good deal of time close by, either personally, in friendship, or sexually with Gabriel?
I don't think recently. I think Gabriel has like a lot of social obligations right now.
And I don't think you're free of other distractions.
Oh no, this is a distraction rich environment.
So roll with a +1.
Okay. That is a 6.
And your phone rings even as you're about to kind of speak, Cristobal. And you'll see there's a block, like an unknown caller on your cell phone there.
Okay. And I think I'm going to give Gabriel the the one moment and turn and hold it up to my head and say hello.
Hello, Cristobal. I suspect you're wondering where the billiard ball went. The one with your fingerprints on it.
And when I hear that, I think the phone just I fumble it in my hand for just a moment, and then I say, I say, who is this? You must. How would you even know about that?
Get a more out of that situation, or I will turn the billiard ball over to the police.
I'll say, you're making a huge mistake. They'll be out by morning. And I hang up the phone.
Dun, dun, dun. Rejecting that.
No, they will be out by morning is that's me making that commitment.
Okay.
But they're making they're making a huge mistake by taking me on in this way.
Perfect.
I have a quick move question.
Yeah.
Is this at all possible grounds for using keys to the castle?
This is exactly the place to do that.
Great.
Are you in over your head?
Oh, completely.
Okay. Do you work here?
Yeah, I'm on the job.
Okay. I don't think you're necessarily dressed to blend in because I think the situation is that. But I think we're giving you a +2. So let's have you roll.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's a 9.
It's a 9. So, Cristobal, as you close that phone down, you will realize that the volume was a little higher than you meant to, and Gabriel is standing right there, and Gabriel heard everything.
Oh, can I embellish it a little bit?
Yeah, please.
I think to prove that they're serious, an image is texted to me from an unknown number, and it's a gloved hand, like in a latex glove, holding a bloodied cue ball, and it just comes straight through to the lock screen.
Gabriel, do you say anything?
I think I see that and very quickly look back at Cristobal. And then I think I'll just kind of squint my eyes a moment and then just kind of go, be careful you don't drop the ball on this one.
I think we're going to cut to Amor being put in the back of this police car. And the detective is there. And he like sits as the car starts to take off, and he answers the phone. And he stops and he turns back to you in the back of Moore. And he hands you a phone.
Yeah?
Who is it on the other end of the phone?
Oh my. You're blindsiding me low, but I can do this. I'll say that it's my very influential, like shady hacker person who manages my social media. And I think he's called Bruno.
Says, I told the detective that I was one of his superior officers. I've got a voice sense for that.
And they're trying to keep a straight face. And they're like,
I've got people.
"Hmm,
We can have cars in place. We can stop you from being taken to the police station. Do you want us to do that?
no, commissary. I'm clueless about police ranks. I have to face whatever punishment the law wants for me. Even if the media is going to make a mess out of this and put my face everywhere and humiliate me in public and get me tons of attention, if it's what I have to do to make sure that this murder gets solved, then I have to go through it all the way. Even if it takes me 24 hours at that station, I will stay there.
All right. Be careful. There are people moving in the shadows. Someone pointed a finger at you.
Well, you know what they say. When you point a finger at someone, you go down.
Is that what they say?
No, it really isn't. Okay, it's giving me a funny look. I'm gonna pretend that you're scolding me. No, I won't change my clothes to be at the station. This is couture. If I have to go to jail in a designer dress, I will. I won't wear the disgusting uniform. You take that phone. I can't speak to this man anymore. He has no idea of style.
And Detective Velasquez will shut the phone and put it in his thing. And I think the last shot of this episode is that police car driving away with Gabriel and Cristobal standing together, kind of watching it drive. And then when the camera pans back, where do we see Estrella? How are you watching this?
So it's on like the topmost balcony on like the 7th floor of our like mansion out in the middle of nowhere, and I've got a cocktail in my hand, and like I've like just take a sip, and then I turn back and I walk into the bedroom where Ava is waiting for me.
Perfect. And that's where we're going to stop for today. Everybody should mark 2 XP just because I want to give 2 session XP on top of whatever else. We will play in 2 weeks because next week is Origins. So we play in 2 weeks. And we'll do Stars and Wishes at the end of that session. But any thoughts, anything anybody wants to say here before we wrap the session? We'll definitely check in at the beginning of the next session to make sure where people are and what their agendas are and that kind of thing.
I loved this. It was amazing.
Hard save. This is so great.
Oh, this is an emotional roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, I love this game. I think Pasiones is this is a dynamite game, and it is so much fun to run, and it's so much fun to watch. Even when I'm not getting to do the hard moves, it's fun to watch the players bounce off of one another. So I am super looking forward to seeing where this goes. Thank you all very much. I'm going to stop the broadcast.